Our commentary is from New York Times columnist Charles Blow, whose new HBO documentary is now streaming on Max.
At the end of the Civil War, 3 Southern states were majority black and others were very close to being so. And during Reconstruction, the 14th and 15th Amendments to the Constitution made black people citizens and gave black men the right to vote. This led to years of tremendous progress for black people, in part because of the political power they could now access and wield on the state level. But when Reconstruction was allowed to fail and Jim Crow was allowed to rise, that power was stymied. So began more decades of brutal oppression. In the early 1910s, people began to flee the South for more economic opportunity and the possibility of more social and political inclusion in cities to the north and west. This became known as the Great Migration and lasted until 1970. But nearly as soon as the Great Migration ended, a reverse migration of black people back to the South began. And that reverse migration, while nowhere near as robust as the original, is still happening today. In 2001, I published a book called The Devil You Know, encouraging even more black people to join this reverse migration and reclaim the state power that black people had during Reconstruction. I joined that reverse migration myself, moving from Brooklyn to Atlanta. Last year, I set out to make a documentary which road tested the idea, traveling the country, both north and south, and having people wrestle with this idea of black power. I suggest that black people return to the states with the highest percentages already of black people, where they can gain political power.
We gotta get back and claim really what we built.
Here are 3 things from that experience. First, black people are tired of marching and appealing for the existing power structure to treat them fairly. Second, young black voters respond to a power message more than to a message of fear and guilt. And third, many of the people I talked to had never truly allowed themselves to consider that there was another path to power that didn't run through other people's remorse, pity, or sense of righteousness. I don't know if black people will heed my call and reestablish their majorities or near majorities in southern states, but sparking the conversation about the revolutionary possibility of doing so could change the entire conversation about power in this country in the same way that it has changed me.